Welcome back, everyone. So this is the replay analysis follow-up to the last video, improving in the lower ranks. What I want to do as I look at various replays is focus on the different roles and see where we can apply the concepts that I discussed. Who can improve based on the information that I was handing out. What I have here is a replay submitted by Thunder, the mid Lina player, and they mentioned having dropped down to Herald from Guardian or Crusader. In this game, they claim to have made some questionable plays, so I'm going to take a look and see where they could have cleaned up those plays, but also keeping in mind the thing that I advised for mid players, can Thunder improve on any of those in particular? I did see some interesting things when I looked at the scoreboard, but we will come back to this at the end of the game. Before I get on with this replay, I just want to remind everybody of the 3 long-term improvements that you should be making. 1 is farming, 2 is map awareness, and 3 is your game knowledge. Your game knowledge is the first thing that you're going to be tapping into at the start of a game. So take a look at the 2 drafts here and see what Thunder or Lina has to go up against. There's these 2 deadly gankers with Storm Spirit and Slardar, so be prepared to perhaps build defensively to get away from them. Pudge can join in the ganks with a hook, and then behind the ganks, if these 3 heroes get any pickoffs, you have this nasty pushing duo with the Drow Ranger and the Pugna. So here you have pickoffs, that creates a lot of space, and then you can quickly get punished and lose your towers. On the Dire side, you do have really powerful team fight though. Chaos Knight is a great hero versus some of these. Jakiro with a lot of lockdown, he can hold down Storm Spirit, can hold down the melee cores. His spells can even reach the Drow Ranger. Warlock and his spells are going to be the backbone of their team fight. Lina, nice range to be able to dance around some of these heroes and get her spells off safely. And Slark, somebody else who can go in. I will admit this Slark CK pairing is a little unorthodox, but it can work. And you know what? At these lower levels, it's not about one draft beating the other, but you still have to be prepared and know what you're up against. So I would say if I'm playing Lina in this game, first of all, I want to try to have my best lane against Storm Spirit, slow him down, maybe just outright kill him and shut him down. But I have to be aware of these 3 heroes, or these 2 heroes, Storm and Slardar in particular, getting activated in the mid game. What should the middle player do? A little reminder, don't count on your allies. You're really playing solo for as much as possible, you're focusing on yourself, and you're not blaming anybody if you get ganked or if you don't get ganks. That leads into number 2, you want to try to be proactive, go make your own ganks and make your own rotations. And then number 3, itemize to your strengths. So I've already alluded to the threat that these 2 heroes present. Lina is going to have to itemize in a way that keeps her safe. Damage, I mean, this team has no issues with damage. Fatal Bonds, Phantasm, Slark has so much damage in any kind of team fight if he can live. I would focus on survivability here. This ward to start the game, it's not a bad ward. However, my personal preference is that I don't like placing anything in the middle of the lane where the creeps walk. I find it's a big distraction to me when I'm trying to last hit. If you've ever been distracted by this even once, just don't do this. Place it off to the side. Is Pudge going to throw a hook? Is Pudge going to gank this mid lane? Maybe. So you might want to consider shifting this to one side or the other. On the Radiant side, Pudge is probably going to come up from behind these trees. So why not put the ward on this cliff right here? Or actually looking at their draft, Pugna's most likely a 5, Pudge is probably a 4 playing here in the off lane. So if you want, you can stand behind these trees so the enemy doesn't see you placing the ward and then just put it somewhere around here. Doesn't look like anyone's in a hurry to get into position. Okay, you see Pugna, that's good. You see Pudge, you see their whole team pretty much. And, you know, even though Slark is really late to the party, you've got to at least move out and guarantee 1 rune. Right now, it looks like you guys are at risk of losing all 4 runes because even though you see where they are, you're not taking advantage of any high ground. You're not coming up to the end of these stairs. You're not showing a hero to let them know, hey, you better not come here. We're going to fight you. Of course, you have to watch out for the Pudge hook, but why not take over this area? Your ward is going to keep you safe. Okay, I see LSA just got skilled for a level 1 team fight. That's not happening. A little body block. It's okay if you miss these things. We're not too worried about the mechanics being precise. There was a team fight, and somehow Warlock got out. I actually like that you focused a little selfishly on your mid lane because, you know, you get a head start on momentum. You could start denying early. So I don't mind that you didn't pay attention to this. Your team wasn't supposed to take that engagement anyways. I would say it's a stroke of good luck that you guys kept the Warlock alive and got a kill. Okay, I see what you're trying to do here. You're trying to interrupt him from getting this last hit. You're closer to this creep. You have high ground as well. There's no reason why you can't just use your auto attack to get this and then secure a last hit for yourself. It's not like he's trying to get the range creep right now. Let's see. Right. Okay. So you took the opportunity while he was stunned to throw a couple auto attacks on him. This really doesn't matter at level 1. It's highly unlikely that you're going to do enough damage to kill him or bully him out of the lane. And all you're doing right now is just costing yourself easy denies and easy last hits. That was good positioning. You can hug this creep a little bit closer. So you don't get the deny there, but thankfully he didn't get the last hit. Okay, again with the LSA, I don't mind it as much for trying to get this last hit, but you could have done a little more damage to the range creep first. Yeah, so you missed that one. Okay. Missing a... Okay, you got that one, thankfully. Okay, that was a good opportunity to harass and deny. I like how you played that one. That was good.
Dire's courier has been killed.
You pull to the range creep. You reposition yourself. Again with a little bit of a spell spam, but now you're getting into something that's not to your favor, not to your benefit. And in the meantime, it looks like you are also going to miss some last hits. Okay. So, a huge teaching lesson for everybody. It doesn't matter what role you are, even if you're a support main, it helps for you to know this because then you can know how the cores think. You should prioritize last hitting. All right, last hitting is the main thing to do in lane. When you cannot last hit, or when you are not busy last hitting, then you can try to get the deny. So when there are 2 weak creeps, get your own gold. All right, and then you can work on trying to get the deny. And if neither of those 2 options exist, then you can harass the enemy. So right there, you lost a couple of easy creeps. Storm, for some reason, even though he's had worse positioning than you in the lane so far, he's up 1 last hit. Now, granted, you have a couple of denies, and that was some good play over here, but I actually think he misplayed those last hits. Good, you get a couple more denies. Also, these level 1 LSA harassment trades, they're just not doing enough for you right now. I would rather see you save the mana, get 2 points in your Dragon Slave, and then focus on whittling him down. I see you have Fiery Soul here, and this 24 attack speed increase that you get right now, I mean, it's not enough to make a significant difference. The Dragon Slave spam would be a lot stronger. So again, I would say with where the creeps were positioned at the very beginning of the lane, you had an opportunity to have a stronger laning phase. Here you are now, you've prioritized all these level 1 nukes on Storm, and you are the one suffering for it. He already has his bottle. He's going to get this water rune. You're still waiting for your bottle to be delivered. It's on the way, sure, but there's no reason why you couldn't have it already. And so what's going to happen? You're going to have to heal up from your bottle now, and you're going to be even with him. But he's still ahead on CS. I know your 3 denies are worth a lot, but... And you miss one there. Because again, you're focused on trying to hit Storm with your spells. Get your last hits. Make sure you secure those. This is a good play. I like that. That was just poorly timed, not the end of the world. Now, one thing I would do here, actually, let's say it was just 5 seconds ago, right? You may as well run up to the creeps and pull them off of the stairs. So try to bring his creeps into the river, and that way you can have a little more equilibrium with where you 2 are standing in the lane. You try to bring him down to the low ground to meet you for those denies. I know right now it doesn't seem like high ground is that big of an advantage, but if you ever want to make those trades with him with autos and you have much longer auto attack range, you want him down here so that you're not getting a whole bunch of missed chances. Good CSing. That was nice. Okay, you're going to check on a bounty rune. Let's see where the creeps are right now. So the creeps have met. And if Storm recognizes that you're not here, and he should because he had the ward there, he should be playing really hard to deny the creep wave as much as possible. This is just not timed well by you. Normally, you might leave the lane a little bit early to get a bounty rune if it refills your bottle because you can't stay in the lane. But again, you're Lina versus Storm. You outrange him. You absolutely can be in the lane right now. And it's not even there. So 2 creeps from each wave died. Actually, 4 and 2 creeps died. Yeah. I think 6 creeps total. Again, you're doing those level 1 LSA plays. I don't think it's worth it at this point. You have 2 points in Dragon Slave. This should be your main spell right now. Very nice. Oh, just missed 1. That was pretty good though. Okay, so we're between that 4.5, 5 minute mark. This is where I like to ferry an observer ward out to myself in the mid lane. I want to keep an eye on the power rune that's going to spawn at 6 minutes. And let's take a look. Not in stock yet, but I'd be keeping an eye on that. I received some comments on my last video, supports complaining that cores shouldn't be hogging the wards. Look, this is not hogging the wards. The power runes are so influential that you want your mid player to have that rune control. If the mid player gets a good rune, they'll help you out in your lane as well. The only other ward that I think a support can place that is anywhere near the same value, although it's not as much, is on this cliff right here. However, this cliff, you get into so many dewarding battles in the laning phase that it's not even guaranteed you'll keep it. You may as well get the power rune warded. Okay, a little more harass. At this point, you really should be saving your mana so that you can have a combo when you hit level 6. Or, again, if you're going to throw a spell, make it your Dragon Slave. But I would try to have about half my mana pool here so I can cast all 3 spells. And then as I go over that, that's when I can still throw out a little more harassment. Okay. Again, that just happened because you weren't able to combine the 2 spells together. Maybe you get the kill if you just be a little more patient, rely on your auto attacks for like 20 more seconds, and save enough mana to use both of these. Good. You bought the wards. Those have arrived with your boots. You're going to take care of that so you can play for the level 6 rune. And look at that though. Again, you're just spending your mana on nothing. So here you are getting an Invis rune, and you don't have enough mana for even 1 spell. Now sure, you can pop the bottle, spam it again to drink a charge, and that's going to give you 1 spell, but only 1. Now, with the rune, what are you going to do? I see you're already facing mid, you're heading back. You haven't even checked the other lanes. We're watching your player perspective, right? I didn't see your camera go like this to see what's happening in the other lanes. Now, granted, on the mini-map, things don't look too good top. I mean, these 2 heroes are directly under their tower, but maybe there's something here. Your support's even gone to the effort of placing this observer, so at least it gives you information to see what's happening. Level 3 Slardar, you can do something with that. But I'm not saying that's the exact play that you're going to make with this invisibility rune. In fact, it's probably not the play you're going to make because you don't have enough mana, and that's a pretty long walk if you don't get a kill. I'm just saying you're not even checking to see if there's a play available. Or maybe if you see that these 2 heroes are low after checking them, you could TP here, then pop the invis, get a little extra mana, and head in a lane that way. All right, so Storm, he was bullied earlier, but now he's back. And look at this. He's level 6 with full mana. You're level 6 with an invis, but you are lacking your mana. You don't have a good combo here. The most you can do is this ineffective harassment where you throw 1 spell at a time, but he doesn't really mind that. 2 null talismans, a wand, the bottle. He can tank through it and regen through it. And there you go again. Just throwing both spells, going back down to 0 mana. So this has to change. This mana management has to change. Now, I see that you are a player who can handle a little bit of micromanagement. You're backpacking your null talisman to get more mana regen. So I would say it's not out of your realm to keep an eye on the clock. And when you see that you're approaching that round minute and you're near a creep camp, you may as well get the stack. And that goes for everybody as well, no matter what role. Keep an eye on the clock. If you're walking through your jungle, you're rounding off near the minute, see if there's a nearby camp that you can get the stack off on. Okay, going for a little walk. So I didn't know that you were going to make this walk right now. It's not the worst play because you did shove out the lane. Let's see if you're going to be rewarded with it. A bounty rune. Again, you already committed your movement to heading to this bottom lane without even checking to see what was going on there. So you just got to make sure you're using your mini map or clicking somewhere on the map. Even if you're scrolling, you know what? Scrolling is better than not seeing anything. But just try to use your mini-map a little bit more to jump around the different lanes, especially as a mid player, to find the best opportunities for you to gank. So here we are, you're watching. Looks like you're actually going to get a pretty free kill. That was good. It worked out. You were a little bit lucky because you didn't even know it was there necessarily. Maybe a teammate was communicating with you and you just took them on their word. I'm not sure. Hey, double kill. So well done on that. I'm not going to take that away from you, even if it wasn't done properly. Luckily, you get the DD. You can definitely use this. Okay, you activated your wand to get a little extra mana back, a little bit of backpacking. Nice. Pretty good seeing that. But that was completely unnecessary. Back to this problem of you using your spells when you don't need to and not having your full combo available. Now, what do you see on the map? The minimap shows the Storm Spirit rotating, so he knows that some heroes were just diving and making a play for the Wisdom Rune. I guess he's trying to stop that. Again, you're not even just clicking on him to see what's up. If you click on this area, you could see if there's stacks. If you know that they have some stacks already, that could tell you that that's an area of interest for you to play inside. I feel like you're just playing without enough information. 2 clarities, okay. So at least you're aware of your low mana and you are trying to correct it. I like you bringing clarities in. That's nice to see. This, however, saving the gold, I really do not recommend Boots of Travel. You could be completing your arcane boots, farming even faster, or applying even more pressure. And on the topic of pressure, you have this double damage rune here. Why didn't you use it to shove the tower at all? If Storm wants to try to fight you a little bit, even if you don't have mana, you're going to be clicking him for so much damage. Okay, so you're shoving the wave, but what are you doing with it? You're not turning it into a push. You're heading to a neutral camp, which again, you need mana to farm. And this is just looking kind of inefficient to me right now. Okay, good kill. So far, you're in a very good position despite a lot of inefficiencies and unoptimized play. 3 kills, highest net worth. The thing is, there's still so much more room for you to improve and so much more you can do. So imagine this start, but you've also been beating up on the Storm Spirit's tower. Maybe this is left on like a quarter HP. Bottom, there's a couple of kills there. So keep an eye on your mana, right? And maybe you can make a play happen down there. I know they just finished a little scrap and that's why your offlaners died. But when they're alive, if these two aren't healing up, you can make a play down there. This is where I would just like to see you, again, check out different opportunities on the map. Take a look at the vision that you have. Otherwise, there's no point in having these wards. So you TP mid. Again, I maybe would have waited or maybe communicated with my team that that's a play that I could make. It doesn't have to happen, but the information, the communication doesn't hurt.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
That's a nice D ward. I like that you did that all on your own. Well done. Okay, a little bit of a ping. Let them know that something's happening. Very nice. Okay, well done. You're in a great position this game. I understand wanting to get the kill, but This is really taking quite a while. Okay, good. So it was worth it for you. You got the last hit. And very nice, immediately TPing. And look at this. It's a catapult wave. Your catapult's not dead yet. So you can actually take this while no one else is here. And again, apply that pressure. Start beating down their tower. But you leave it. I know Storm Spirit just appeared here, but you're not even making the effort. And if you're not starting to chip away at these towers and knock them down, at some point in the mid game, this guy will get active. Slardar will have a Blink Dagger. So do your best while your heroes are relatively stronger to try to get some map control. This is an awkward move for sure. You're not in a great position as the clock is nearing 12 minutes to contest a rune. You could have done the same farm on your side of the map, on this little camp right here, and you could have been leaving the area with a stack on the Ancients and then going for the bottom rune. All right, so what do you want to do here? What is the minimap showing you? Your BOTs are off cooldown. And this is why I'm saying Boots of Travel are not a good item for this bracket. You're just not going to get good value out of them. So you would have had your Arcane Boots completed and about another 2k gold in the bank. That could have been the start of a Shadow Blade. That could have been the start of, I saw that you went Kaya as one of your items. That could have been the start of your Kaya. You would have been stronger without the Boots of Travel. Let's see if you do anything with them now. Looking at the minimap, all heroes are missing, but you do know that bottom seems pretty free. These are really good wards, actually, for being able to push this tower. You should consider TPing here once this wave is clear and joining the fight, or since, that just kind of makes you wait for nothing, you can swing over to this camp and then join them in the push. So let's see how you play this. Yeah, that's fine. The mid wave was just connecting. So farm that first, push it out. Okay, now do you want to make a play with your teammates? Now the map looks a little bit different. Pudge is showing top. Very passive so far. Okay. Jakiro wants to make a play. You know what? So far, I think Jakiro's done some nice things. Again, I did like the wards that he placed. He wants to do the smoke play, and you guys are going to be able to see if they support this Drow Ranger. Right now, it looks like she's on her own. Maybe you can guess that Slardar's in the area. But, it's a decent fight to take. Now, this is completely unnecessary. This distance between your hero and their heroes is less than 11 seconds. So unless you wait here and potentially lose some element of surprise, you're not going to have this ability now. Yeah, you're not going to have it. So no LSA. Drow Ranger gets away. Nice ice path. You didn't fire your key. Okay. You barely got that off at the end, but Drow Ranger was able to turn around on you. Their heroes took a better formation up here because this spell was off cooldown. So this tendency of yours to just kind of fire your spells whenever you want, especially this one here, that has to be fixed. This is, at this point in the game, almost only for combat. This Dragon Slave with a lower cooldown, you want to farm with this, you want to harass with this, go ahead. But be more mindful of both your mana and now the cooldown of your LSA. Somehow you still got a double kill. Nice having the slow burn, I guess, but that fight could have gone a lot better for you. As it is, you're still at the top of net worth, but the teams are relatively even. I would say, for all intents and purposes, you guys are even with the enemy team because you haven't done enough damage to the towers. You haven't knocked any of them down.
Dire's bottom tower needs some help. It looks like
Oh, wow. Okay. I respect the play. The glyph on the creeps, if you don't get this kill, is a huge waste because that could be used. If you want to use a glyph offensively, you could use it to push a tower, for example. Let's take a look what happens here. You missed the LSA, Storm is gone. I really respect the creativity. I like thinking about those kinds of offensive plays. It shows that you're at least willing to test the limits of your hero. That one was just not executed well. and the repercussions were pretty severe. So again, you get my respect in one regard, but that play needs a lot of cleaning up, and it ended up being a waste of a glyph as well. Now obviously Storm kills the creeps if you don't glyph, but you do look a little foolish when it doesn't work out. Haste rune, pretty good. Any plays that you want to make with your BOTs and the haste rune, keep an eye on the minimap. Pugna and Slark are engaged in something, you're not even checking it out. Storm, what does he have right now? You're not clicking on him. You are, yes, going for this caster build, but you're just getting all of these items for throwing your spells out. You know, why not just play it a little bit safer and maybe do a Hurricane Pike? Why not do the Yule Scepter? Why not do the Shadow Blade? You have 3 options here that can help you versus this inevitable duo, and you're opting for none of them. And you're just doing some really safe farming. You're not even seeing if there's anything else on the map that you can join, any other pressure that you can apply. You know, you've got Jakiro here. Why not combine with him to take down the tower? You're not taking a look and seeing what Slark is up to. He's got a catapult still on his side. He's going for a play right here. Let's see where you're looking. You're looking at the rune. Okay, you're bottling. You could easily be checking a lane. And a blind TP. Slark is already dead. We'll excuse the pathing. You actually could have gotten out of there. But that... So, these boots of travel now have actually gotten you killed. I just don't think that players in the lower brackets are ready to play with boots of travel. Not in a way that they're worth more than cheaper boots and getting a head start on your next item. This blind TP now has been your 3rd death of the game. And it's starting to get a little costly. You can see that now the gold is starting to go the other way. It's still a very even game. But again, imagine where you could be. Imagine the plays that you could be making. And you didn't have to have these deaths to your name right now. And now Drow Ranger has taken the lead. It looks like the Radiant are going to get their first tower. And I really do think that you could have been the one to potentially take the first tower in the game. You could have taken this by the 10-minute mark on your own. Okay, so again, take a look. Where do you want to go? You opt for mid, that's fine. Your carry's already top. Bottom, you don't know what's going to happen necessarily. You get some farm mid, that's fine. Jungling is the nearest farm available. Now you guys are in a difficult spot. Now you feel like, oh, the momentum's swinging a little bit. You don't know where the enemies are. You have no wards on the map. Now you have no choice but to do this a little bit until you have better vision. So it's amazing how just a couple of misplays or a little bit of inaction on your part has ultimately led to this situation right now. Is this a terrible thing? Is this an unplayable situation? Is the game bad for you? No, not by any means. But you have squandered a potential advantage. Or I should say an even bigger advantage. You're 2nd overall, it's not bad. But I can imagine you 1st overall with better map control. This Orchid build-up is just not going to happen in time. You're starting it way too late for it to matter against the Storm Spirit. He can probably get a BKB in time. If he wants to be a little cheap, he can get the Yule Scepter for himself. It's nice being able to send up even some of these heroes into the air. A little bit of farming. Wards unfortunately doubled up, but you know what? At least they're in mid. At least it gives you some nice vision. And taking a look, you can see all these plays happening again. 2 heroes, Storm and Pudge just ganked your top. Slardar was just mid. You can shove bottom out really hard. There, you see all their heroes have been in this area, in the top left of the map. You don't need to be here right now. You should be applying pressure. You should be moving the creep waves into towers, playing for the objectives far more often. Again, those boots of travel, they're sitting there. You don't have to be the one doing this wave clear. Warlock is here, he can do it. You should be right here. Every 10 seconds, the map is obviously updating. If you haven't seen the opponents in this area, okay, there's Drow Ranger, there's Pudge. So you know that they're still here. No one else is showing here to defend the tower and take the creep wave. So there they are, all right? This is just not efficient, and you're not doing anything to change the state of the game. You're not applying pressure, you're not trying to get a lead, you're not trying to establish map control, you're being very safe, overly safe, and you're only playing to react to the enemies. And it doesn't even matter that CK is up here. It doesn't matter that your supports are sitting back here. Now you get hooked. You could have been doing a lot in the last minute, independent of your own team. And especially if you have the Shadow Blade. So that's one of my big recommendations for you. I think it's the safest build for Lina, and one that you can do a lot with. If you have that Shadow Blade, and you run to the lane, and you push it, you can always wait, you can Shadow Blade away, and you still have your TP available to TP to a fight. So definitely look at changing up this build and play. You could view it as playing safer. You can view it as playing hit and run. Just try some different builds with the 3 items that I talked about. Hurricane Pike, Shadow Blade, and or Eul Scepter. So now their team's rolling. Now Slardar has a Blink, Storm has a Witchblade, and he's got some Galvanized stacks. Drow Ranger's grouping up with her team, the Pugna as well. And it's exactly what I talked about. They can get a pick off, and the 2 heroes in the back here, they can take your towers. Let's see if they do. There's a second pick, and they can keep doing that. Okay, CK joins the fight, but Pudge gets a hook. They're kiting your CK. Pudge, wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. So thankfully, it wasn't played perfectly by them, and it never will be, so they didn't punish your tower in that instance. But that's the kind of potential that I'm talking about from their lineup. Good. Now you're making a play. Good. You have the catapult. Perfect. Unfortunately, it is at the time that you are losing this tower. Kind of silly that Drow Ranger's tipping you for it, but did she just do that to tell you ahead of time that she was going to get the kill on you? That's rude. I don't mind the idea. It was the right thing. It just should have been done much earlier. So now where are we at? Now they have a decent net worth lead overall, and Drow Ranger's lead is starting to become a little staggering. Is she on her BKB? Not yet. She's going eggs. This Drow Ranger, though, we saw from the scoreboard, she runs away with the game, and you start to see how it's happening. This play, you can't even blame that on Warlock. Yes, he should have been hidden a little bit better, but I mean, that's what this team is designed to do, right? And is anyone on your team itemizing against it? No, he's ultra greedy, no Force Staff, no Glimmer. You, we already know, you have this greedy build. Slark, I kind of like that build, that's good. CK has nothing. Offlane CK, what do you want? And Jakiro, also very greedy, but you know, whatever. That's why we're not counting on supports, and we're not talking about them. We're talking about you and your play. So now you see that they're starting to group. You see that they have map control. Even if you get this Orchid, are you going to be able to lock down the Storm and get a kill? Probably not at the cost of you dying as well. So I know we're only halfway through the game, but I think what you've seen so far and what I've talked about, that's been enough to really paint the picture of how this game could have played out a little differently. By no means is this a lock for the enemy team. Oh, there you go again. You have a super creep wave here, 3 range creeps and an army of melee creeps. You saw that the enemies are here. Are you using your mini-map though? Are you actually checking and knowing that the enemies are there? If you use your mini-map, if you click on the area, you can get more information. But I think it's also, for now, it's an inability in your game to recognize that you should just be pushing towers. End of story. You have to play for the objectives far more often. Now the game's already broken down. You guys can come back with some team fights with Warlock, with High Ground Defense, Jakiro's Ice Path, and Macropyre. It's not over, but like I said, you can be playing from the lead right now. You could have a different build. You could have more map control. The game would look a lot different. Drow Ranger wouldn't have that lead. She wouldn't feel like she can just safely go for an Aghanims and skip her BKB. Now what are they doing over here? They're just letting her push. No one's really prepared to do anything. At the same time, even if you are going to let them do this push, no one is punishing in the other lanes. And there you go. You activated your Orchid. It did nothing. You died. So we've basically seen enough where you can change your gameplay and have massive improvements. There's so much potential in what you can do. Yeah, there you go. Your team shows their strength. You see that with all of your spells being used and these big ultimates, you guys can do a lot done in a team fight.
Where did Radiant's little tower go?
Okay, this is good. You recognize that they have a whole bunch of dead heroes. You have a little bit of time to push. Not everyone would do this play because they see, oh, Drow Ranger's up in 4 seconds, Pugna's up in 11. That's not really enough time for me. No, it's plenty of time. You can easily get in there, maybe do a third of the tower's HP and damage, and then get out.
Has looked better.
Could have hit it a little bit longer. And I would be getting out right now. With Pugna up, Drow Ranger may be waiting to silence me. Now is when I would be leaving. So yeah, this tower, if I were hitting it, it would probably be half HP. But I do like the play. I like that you went for it. Okay, what does your mini-map show? Your team is trying to do something here. You have your Boots of Travel up in 2 seconds. And you see that heroes now on the enemy team are starting to form up below you. You should let these guys have their TPs wasted, skip over to the other side of the map. Make something happen right here. Let's see what you do. Farming the jungle. This is an ideal opportunity for you to team up. Maybe you don't just take the 1 tower, maybe you push for 2. Or at the very least, if you're grouped up, your support has no wards on him right now. What about your other one? Warlock can place this observer somewhere around here or around here. But if you don't join them, I don't think this push happens at all. Yep, everyone's backing away. And you being there, psychologically, could be enough to make your allies stay. Okay, 2 heroes showing bottom. Storm is showing mid, so you're relatively safe for now. Yep, you guys can apply some pressure here. Jakiro goes back to deal with the waves. Ideally, one of your cores goes back and is starting to take this farm. Right now, all 3 of you are just farming inefficiently. Slark should at least go to the wave mid, but instead Warlock is doing it. And now, you're the one who goes back out into the new riskiest lane, the new unsafe lane on the map, and you unfortunately get punished for it. So just keep an eye on that. I don't know if you wanted to respect your teammates here and let them have the farm, or you didn't think of it as farm, but you thought of it as pressure, and they were alleviating the pressure. But you've got to be greedier, and you have to take that. So now it costs you. You're the one who stays back, and that's it. So that is a good place to stop. We have seen plenty, and we can go over some of the lessons. Let us recap what we've seen so far. From your fundamentals, farming, map awareness, and game knowledge, I would say that farming is your strongest suit, and map awareness is by far your weakest. I do not see, and again, I'm watching this from the player point of view, I would see if you were clicking other parts of the map, and you don't do that. So if you can, work on incorporating that into your gameplay. Start to play with a little more knowledge of what's going on in the different lanes. If you see enemies crossing under a ward, just take a look. What's their HP? What's their level? If you have a little more APM, if you can micro a little bit faster, click on their hero, see what their items are. Game knowledge, that is something that you build up over time. I feel like in this particular instance, you lacked the game knowledge or you lacked the foresight to see what their heroes would combine to do. And that's something that somebody, maybe legend or ancient or above, they look at this draft and they know exactly what to expect. They also see their own draft and they know how they should play. How you were as a mid player with the things that I recommend to players. How did you do with your mid grade? Not relying on your allies, and being self-sufficient, you get an A+ for that. Buying your own wards, keeping track of the runes yourself, that was great. Ganking and rotating, I think you honestly got a little lucky with it. This play you made when you Laguna the Drow Ranger here, remember you got the bounty rune and then you just started clicking here. But you didn't even know what the fight looked like. You never really looked top. The one time you TP'd top, it got you killed because you did it blindly. You did walk up here and you killed a Pudge at some point. That was fine. But I would say it was just about a C grade for your ganking and rotations. Not that you had the best opportunities to do so, and it ties in more with the map awareness or the lack thereof. Finally, itemizing to your strengths. That of these three categories, that was your weakest trait. So this build ultimately did nothing for you. You didn't have the survivability to even stay in the back versus these gankers to fire off your spells. So the Kaya was kind of useless. The Boots of Travel, a little too advanced. Leave those on the shelf for now. You can pick them up later. Once you get a better feel for the game, once you understand movements and patterns and ways to exploit the enemies, then you can go back to a Boots of Travel build. But until then, a Shadow Blade is just fine. The Orchid is not a bad item, but again, it's one of these things that's a little timing reliant. And if you recognize that these guys are going to be grouped up or going for these power play ganks with multiple heroes, you don't necessarily want the Orchid. You want this if you're going for your own ganks, but again, the Boots of Travel doesn't necessarily facilitate that. The Shadow Blade would, but not the BOTs. And finally, if we go back to how you played the mid lane, I would say you need to work on your mana usage and your spell usage, or your mana upkeep and your spell usage. So spamming all those level 1 LSAs, those didn't do anything for you. You saw that Storm was able to bulk up. He was able to regenerate through it. Yes, you hit level 6 before him. You even had 2 power runes. But because you never had the mana to do a full combo, you didn't make anything work with it. Also, when you were fighting him in mid, you missed a lot of potential CS. You also missed some denies. You were pretty good about your denies, I'll give you that. But you missed a lot of CS, focusing on him more than the creeps. So, if you replay that matchup, Lina vs Storm, and you're a little bit more patient, you get a couple of points in Dragon Slave, and then you start really piling it on him, you're going to see you probably kill him when you're 6 and he's 5. And as you build up to level 6, save that mana so you can get your combo off. Overall, I would say it wasn't a bad game. You obviously need to improve on a lot of different things, but do it step by step, do it bit by bit. Don't try to fix everything that I mentioned all at once. Do something like recognizing the heroes, studying the heroes, and seeing if you can come up with a different build. Do something like applying more pressure the next time you play. Or maybe working on your map awareness and clicking on the other parts of the map. I think you have a solid enough foundation and you're willing to make plays, and that is the best kind of player to work with. Somebody who has more confidence and would rather be aggressive than someone who's timid. So let's now look at the scoreboard, because there were a couple things that I wanted to talk about here. When I first saw this, a couple things stood out to me. Number one, you can't be a core and have the most deaths on your team. Like 9 times out of 10, that's going to correlate with you guys losing. It happened in this case. A lot of it could have been because you were trying to make plays with that Orchid, but you didn't have a survivable build. And also, you know, just letting this team get dangerous together, letting them have the map control. Funnily enough, when I saw the Drow Ranger having 36 kill participation, the most last hits, breaking 10 CS per minute, I thought that maybe this is a smurf. Maybe like you sent me a replay and you got smurfed. I don't think so anymore. She had way too many easy deaths in the laning phase. But if you're ever looking for somebody to learn from, and there's a player who has a monster game like this, it doesn't hurt to go back into the replay and see what they did. And I've been getting a lot of comments from players in the Southeast Asia region. This is a Southeast Asia replay. And so for you guys who maybe think when you get this Drow Ranger in your game and she's smurfing, again, take a look at the replay, watch it from her perspective. There's probably something that you can take away from watching players who are, quote, ruining your games or who shouldn't be in your games. Okay, Thunder, Thank you for sending me the replay. Thank you for sending me the match ID. I'm glad we got to look at it. And please, after you watch this, let me know what you learned from it. If everything makes sense, if you need anything clarified, of course, just reach out to me in the comments. And anybody else who is watching this, let me know what you thought of it and let me know if it was helpful to you.